On a Campbell River shore stands a First Nation carving shed, where Master Carver Bill Henderson works at, as he says, making wood talk. He attributes his special gift to his father, Sam Henderson. Bill is passionate about preserving his ancient culture, and as he shapes layers of red cedar into a 4-foot totem, he shares some of his history and stories with me.
I'm doing a little miniature totem pole. It's 4 feet long. And on it I'm gonna have a eagle crest on top, and a sea shield is a 3-headed snake on the bottom figure. I'm taking these crests off my dad's totem pole. A big one in the cemetery out there has these on there. Crests from my father's family. The eagle is it's a well-known crest for many families, and it is the power of the sky, as everybody knows that. Being with great powers from the sky, and many families have it for their family crests. And the sea shield is a being with, 3-headed snake is a being with great powers also. Well known, they can split the waters, and he's been known to fold up as a canoe and save people that's stranded out in bad weather. It just turn wood into stone. Many families have a sea shield crest. Besides this, we make our own tools that we carve with. I learned how to make my tools. I learned to do everything from my father, Sam Henderson. Yeah, I watched him as a young boy growing up, and this was my playtime. That's all I did is sit down, and we never had no fancy toys to play with in them days. So I sat down and I'd watch him making his own tools and stuff like that. And when I got really into carving, I learned how to make them myself. I started carving as a very young boy. My first carving I ever tried, I was in grade 1 for my teacher, and it's still in that school today. Whipple Rock School it is. And from there on, I became a teenager. My work got a little better, and it's still getting better today. I'm always trying something different. Carve a lot of different designs and totem poles anywhere from 2 feet to 40 feet. I've carved many totem poles in my time. You'll see them all around Campbell River, totem poles that I have carved. For big totem poles we use red cedar. It is, well, to us it's a tree of life, eh? You know, it was easy to work with, easy to split, and it's soft wood to carve. You know, they made their homes out of cedar planks and carved canoes out of cedar logs and clothing out of the inner cedar bark. Yeah, everything it's very soft wood to work with. I do use yellow cedar once in a while on smaller stuff, paddles and stuff like that. I use yellow cedar. I have, there was 8 brothers and 8 sisters. I am the 9th child in the family. I have, there's 4 older brothers than me and 4 older sisters. So, and all the rest come behind me. Twin brothers, twin sisters. And so we had quite the time growing up, you know. I've seen a lot of different things in my life around this area, a lot of changes. Yeah. But now growing up, well, I'm just glad that my dad came and he actually brought the culture back to this area. You know, there wasn't much here when, years ago when he came. The culture was pretty near gone here. There's nothing. So when my dad came and married my mother, he was adopted into this tribe by my grandfather at that time. So, yeah, with him came the culture and something he hung on to from, he was a native from Blunden Harbor, the Nauvoo people. About 120 miles on the mainland north of here, like in behind Alert Bay area there. That's where he was from. So when he came here, he met Mom and got married and had all us siblings. So, which was a good thing. We had quite a life growing up. So, but yeah, this is all I'd done was he'd be painting and stuff in the evenings on our kitchen table, and I'd just take time and watch him, and pretty soon I was designing little designs on paper or plywood, whatever. And I picked it up. I'm glad I picked the culture up and keep it going. A lot of my nephews are doing it, and my son Will Jr., he's taking it up himself. And it won't be died in our family. It'll go on. It'll be keep going after I'm gone. So, which is what my father wanted. He always used to say, make sure you look after my number, which he meant, he could hardly talk English, which he meant look after the artwork and stuff as we're growing up. Yeah. I've carved many totem poles, gone all different parts of the world. So many masks, I can't count them. I don't know how many I've done in my life. Lots of them. You learn your own style. You kind of create as you're going. It's a lot like Dad's. I could, you know, looking at it, I could say I pretty near carve it the same as my father, just about the same. It takes a long time to get to know how to use a tool, such as a curved knife like this. And when you're making them, it's quite an art in trying to temper them. you get them sharp and temper them to way you can't have it too soft, it won't hold an edge, and too hard and it'll break. So it's quite an art in getting it prepared. It takes a long time to bring it down. You put it over heat and you bring the knife down to where you want it so as it stays sharp and not chip off, eh? Yeah, I watched my dad make a lot of miniature totem poles out of yellow cedar. His was. Well, it's easier to carve yellow cedar when you're doing small stuff. The grain's so tight and soft, it's softer wood, eh? Kind of easier to work with anyway. Well, this type of a knife, it's a curved knife, a chalkwatla in our language. It goes both ways. You can see it, you can carve that way with it and backwards. Then you can pull on it. I'm in here every day usually from 8 to 4 o'clock, put in my time. It's what I call making wood talk. It's what we do. It's one thing to actually carve a mask. It's another thing to see it danced. You know, you carve it and pretty soon you carve a piece for a potlatch, and when you see them around with their mouths moving, they're actually, like I say, they're talking. It's something to get a square block of wood, and next thing you know, you got a piece on your face with the mouth moving and so on, and actually dancing with it. It's amazing. That's what amazed me as a young boy, going to different potlatches and stuff when I was allowed. And it amazed me how they've danced with them, the different movements, and make them come alive. Yeah, that really interested me. And you couldn't ask for a better pastime than doing this. I'm glad I'm doing it. So, a couple of my nephews there, they're doing very well at it. Junior over there, he's just as good as I am now, if not better. Yeah, so like I say, it's passed down in the family. Our culture will not die here, I'll tell you that. Usually I phone logging companies and tell them how big I want it, and a lot of times they'll pull out some big logs, and I'll go and inspect them to see if they're going to work for what I want to do. And I just put them aside and then pick them up with a logging truck, or if it's out in the lock inlet or wherever, I just tow it with my boat, eh? So, but that's usually what I do, is go pick out the logs, make sure there's not rot and too many knots and stuff like that. Yeah, got to be quite sound wood. The most favorite and the most challenging mask I ever carved, I could say it's there's a octopus mask in our local museum, and all the 8 legs move on it. And it wasn't only a challenge, but I loved when it was finished. I loved how it all worked. Especially when I've never seen one before, and I think that's the only one that's it was made. I've never ever seen a mask like that in my life anywhere. So that was a nice piece, I thought. one of my favorites was that one. It was done for a sea kingdom. In our museum there, I think there's about 27 masks or something. And it was done for an underwater sea kingdom. You see, in our culture, there's not only above, not on land, we also have beings from the bottom of the ocean. There's also, you know, they're living down there. There was quite a few artists in that involved in making those. I think they were all made, there was 27 masks, they were all made by different artists. Yeah. And I had the job of the octopus. Also, there's one, it's a sun mask. I carved it. It belonged to, this mask years ago belonged to the Quoxister family. So the museum had me make one. And this one was a transformation, opened up and changed into a being, a human being, from a sun to a human. Yeah. I like carving our culture and sharing it with everybody. Keeping it, show what our ancestors did hundreds of years ago. Their way of life, their entertainment is watching other families show their culture in big houses, stuff, potlatching and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm glad it's very nice to give a little bit of culture out to different parts of the world. Like, I never put anything on paper, it's from here to the wood. I don't draw anything, no. No, it's all from my brain to the wood. Whenever we went digging clams, I'd go with Mom and Dad and all the brothers, and we'd dig 10 sacks of clams easily and shuck them all the next day and put them away for the winter, freeze them up and smoke some. Same with the fish. When we did fish, we did hundreds and hundreds of fish, smoked, canned, whatever. And we all worked together. That's how we, you know, we learned how to live like that. And my dad had a little boat called the Sack. It was a gillnet trawler. And we spent a lot of time on there, going get seafood, different seafoods, and even hunting deer. When we went hunting deer, we didn't just shoot one. We shot a few of them for our table. And this did a lot of bartering. My dad did a lot of bartering with the Chinese from Cumberland when we were young, for vegetables, potatoes, a lot of different, you know, carrots, turnips and stuff. And he put them in a sack and buried them in we had a little hole in the ground there. And he'd just throw them in there. And whenever he wanted some, we'd peel it open and grab some turnips out of there. And then he came around quite a bit, the guy from Cumberland. And that's all he did was barter, trading it. He wanted rock cod or cod, and most of the time just rock cod. And traded for our food. Yeah, and a lot of people were like that, you know, trading. So, yeah, he had his little boat, and he'd pull it up on the beach here for the winter, right here where the shop is, and get ready for cod fishing on the 1st of March, and change his own planks, cork his own boat. I used to think that guy was a genius. He seemed to know everything. Well, I guess in them days you had to know everything. He for his job, he was a fisherman besides a carver and a logger. He topped trees and stuff like that, and for us to live. But like I say, we did so much hunting and ducks and deer and fish and digging clams, and that was our way of life, of living. Yeah. And, you know, we ate well, you know, and that was the main part. So, you know, and 16 kids, we learned how to do our own chores. Them days we had a wood stove. You don't chop wood, we don't eat. So we had to keep on top of the kinglings and keep lots of wood piled on our porch and stuff like that. It was fun times. It was fun times, really it was. You know, when you look back at it, today's world, it's, I could say they were fun times, growing up like that. Yeah. Yes, and, you know, we all went to school walking from here to Campbellton or Elm School. It was a long walk. We never had no buses or nothing. So we walked along. Sometimes we'd walk, if there was too much snow, we'd walk on the beach going to town. No snow on the beach when the tide goes out and that, so we'd walk down there. Made it easy. Yeah. But Mom, she had quite the chores, huh? When Dad was gone fishing, seining or something, a couple of us would go trolling with her. I was only like 10 years old. Go out trolling and them days, bluebacks, coho, spring salmon. They were quite plenty. It seemed, you know, you didn't need much to buy bread and stuff like that. Didn't need too much, so. And we lived like that, and it was, like I say, good times. And later on, I just started carving more and more, got into the culture more, and I did some logging in my time, fishing. I'm still a skipper of a fishing boat, but not much money in it these days, but I'm still doing it. It's in the blood, and I love doing it, and maybe someday I'll have a good season. But yeah, it's something I grew up doing. I've been fishing since I was 13, so 1963 I started fishing. So it's in the blood. Yeah, just like this carving, it's in the blood. It's in these hands, making the wood talk. So, yeah, it's a peaceful time. My own boss. Yeah.